Hey, Seth David here from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, and I want to welcome you to 97 and Up. If this is your first time visiting this page, then I want to give you an opportunity to try out 97 and Up free for 30 days. Why am I doing this? Because I want to give people a chance to see all that I have to offer in this program. In fact, some of the members have told me that I've done a terrible job here. And what I mean by that is in terms of explaining everything that's included in 97 and Up. In fact, people have even reached out to me and said they were going to quit until they realized how much they would be losing access to. And so they stayed, meaning that I've done a poor job of making it clear how much value there is, and they were about to quit until they got to see that firsthand. So, they say that there's so much offered in this program, and I just don't do a fair job of making that clear. So the first thing I want to highlight here is the thing that I tend to not mention, I fail to mention the most, which is the fact that when you join 97 and Up, you get access to every single course that I put under the heading of what we call process and workflow design courses. As of this recording, there are 11 of those courses. They're $197 each if you were to purchase them each separately, which means there's over $2,000 in courses that are just included in 97 and Up. And each of those courses has 4 lessons, each between 4 and 6 hours of recording of video training. And each lesson in each of those courses, for the most part, I think, there might be 1 or 2 exceptions, but for the most part, each one comes with a very detailed workbook. So you can access the screenshots and the write-ups that go along with it so that you almost don't have to watch the video. This way, if you're more of that kind of learner who prefers to have something to read, I've got you covered, as well as the people who prefer the video, and certainly having both is the perfect complement, right? So that's the thing I often forget to mention to people, that it's included. It's just, to me, it's always been kind of like, oh, what a pleasant surprise. Look at all these courses in my course locker. Now, next I want to talk to you about our Slack Workspace. This is where I've built the true family that is 97 and Up. I mean, I call it the ultimate mastermind group, and you can call it a mentoring program or any number of other names, but the truth is, what has evolved over the years since I started 97 and Up, especially through the Slack Workspace, is a family-like atmosphere. And I am hell-bent on preserving that, by the way, which I'll talk about in another minute. But first, what do I mean by this? Well, I reached out to the group probably a couple of years back, and I was just curious and realized I was potentially shooting myself in the foot by even asking this question. But I asked it because I was curious. I said, well, why 97 and Up? Why our Slack Workspace? When the reality is you can go to 1,000 different Facebook groups and get access theoretically to the same kind of thing for free. By the same kind of thing, I mean a place where you can go ask questions and get answers from other professionals in the accounting community. And the consistent answer I got from every single person who responded to this question was that they felt that the caliber of answers, the quality of answers in 97 and Up were better than what they got in the Facebook groups that they also participated in. And, the theory was that because this is something people have to pay for, it has a way of sort of weeding out the riffraff that you would get in a free group where just anybody can join, right? Now, I'm not saying that there's not good value in those Facebook groups. I'm saying that where I was potentially afraid that people might, look at that question and say, oh yeah, you know what, who needs 97 Up? Let me quit. I'll just go use the Facebook groups. Nobody did. They all consistently, as I said, confirmed for me. Obviously, it was validating, but it also, and it made me feel good, but it also, most importantly, it made it clear to me that I was providing something of much greater value than what you get in simply, free Facebook groups on the internet. Now, for myself, I've been in Facebook groups where I've seen people come in and ask, maybe a newbie question, and I've seen people pounce on them and say things like, if you have to ask that question, you shouldn't be, offering bookkeeping services. And every time I've looked at something like that, I've honestly kind of shaken my head and thought, man, you're forgetting that you had to start somewhere too. So, that kind of behavior would never be tolerated in my 97 and Up Slack Workspace. And that's really what underscores in large part how it has become a family-like atmosphere. The reality is it would never happen. It would never be tolerated. The truth is, over the years, I can think of maybe 1 or 2 people who came in who had kind of a negative sentiment in the way that they communicated with people. And each of those 2 people didn't last very long. They ended up leaving the group, and I certainly didn't chase them to, get them to come back, right? So the group, as it has evolved, has a way, I think, of weeding out people who don't sort of fit in. And by fit in, I don't mean like the typical like, oh, the cool kids kind of fitting in. It's more just there's no negativity. There's no space for negativity in our group. It's a supportive group. If you need help, I don't care what level you're at, we will help you. We will pounce on you to give you the help you need, to give you the confidence that you need to get through whatever it is you need to get through. And we even have a channel called 97 Support, which is designed specifically for offering support for issues completely outside your professional world. So that's the kind of family-like atmosphere that we have. It doesn't matter where you're at in your career. It doesn't matter how little or how much experience you have. Everybody fits in. Everybody's welcome as long as we have, a positive attitude and an attitude of wanting to be useful and helpful to others. Now, the reality is I would love to grow this group and make it really big, but I would much rather have 100 really solid members than 1,000 like just okay members. In other words, I don't care about the money. I'm not going to allow this group to get diluted just for the sake of making more money. I'd rather make less money and have a really solid group. In fact, there have been times I've seriously considered closing off the ability to just sign up for 97 and up and making it invite only. And I'm still considering doing that. I'm sort of doing this promotion and this campaign as a way of seeing how it goes. If it backfires, if I get a bunch of people in here that I feel aren't a good fit, then I will immediately shut down the opportunity for somebody to just come on the website and join and make it invite only and make it so that you have to be referred by at least one existing member of the group that sort of vouches for you, if not myself. And if it's through me and I don't already know you, then it's going to take a Zoom call or two to make sure that it's a good fit. Now, if you feel like this is right for you, then click any of the buttons on this page to go sign up. If you happen to notice a countdown timer at the bottom of your page, that means that this is your first time here, that you've gotten here in time to take advantage of the offer, which is where I'm going to let you try it out for free for 30 days. And you'll get access to all the courses, the 11 courses, plus 97 Up has its own course that's designed to help you build and set up and run your practice. All of that you'll have instant access to. Your welcome email has the invite to the Slack Workspace. That's part of the program. That's probably 85% of the program in some respects. You'll get immediate access to that totally free for 30 days. And then if you don't cancel, your membership will renew at $147 a month instead of the usual $197 a month. Right. If you don't see the countdown timer there, it means you've already been on this page and you've already waited too long. So, and there's nothing I can do to fix that. The way the system is designed, it tracks you even if you clear your cookies. You can try. I've tried it. It still is able to track you somehow. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how it works. It's above my pay grade. I just know that it works. Right. So if you see the countdown timer and there's still time left, click the buttons, get signed up. If the countdown timer is gone, once it hits 0, then you can still join. You just won't have the 30-day free trial and you'll be paying full price. Now, another thing that's important to mention here, I told you about the courses that are included. I told you about the Slack community. We also do 2 weekly live Zoom calls. And you can suggest whatever topics you want to see covered if we're not covering it already. And we'll get that into the schedule, the rotation. Every single one of those calls is recorded and put up on the website. And of course, as long as you're a member, you'll have access to the entire history of all the recordings. I've had members sign up recently who told me they were just going back through the log of all the old calls because they wanted to, they felt like they wanted to make sure they didn't miss anything. And the truth is there's so much value in there because this is where, imagine joining a course where you can write the curriculum based on specifying exactly what you need help with. That's really exactly how this is designed. I'll schedule content based on, having been doing this for years, I kind of know what most of you all struggle with, but I also invite and encourage, and once you join, you'll see we have a home page for 97 and Up that I've built in Notion that's got all the links to every resource you would, need to have access to within 97 and Up. One of them is the link to request a topic for one of our calls. So you literally have the opportunity to tell me exactly what you need help with, and then you'll get help with it. We'll do a call, and if I don't have experience on the subject, I guarantee you I have somebody else in the group who does. Certain topics that come up pretty regularly, like nonprofits, I don't have the experience with. I don't want to deal with nonprofits, but we have 2 or 3 members at least that come up off the top of my head who anytime the subject of nonprofits come up, they're the ones I'm going to call on and say, can you lead a call on nonprofit accounting or how to get nonprofit clients and so on and so forth. So collectively, we have all the experience you could ever need to have access to, and we provide you with that experience through these twice weekly live calls, which again, if you can't make the live ones, there's the recording after the fact, and then we have the Slack Workspace where if you're watching the recording and you have follow-up questions, you go into the Slack Workspace and you can ask all the questions you want 24/7, 365 with no limits. You can at any time, go in there. And, the crazy thing, going back to the Slack Workspace for a minute, is it seems to me that because we have so many members and they range in a lot of different time zones, it's probably fair to say that no matter what time it is, wherever you are, you can probably find somebody else active in that Slack Workspace who, if you have a question and they have the experience, to answer that question, you're almost guaranteed to get an answer like within a few hours. And if, worst comes to worst, I will answer everything that's asked within one business day, let's call it. On the weekends, I might not jump on things as quickly because I like to relax on the weekends. And finally, what I would encourage you to do is go into those Facebook groups I talked about earlier and just ask around if anybody's heard of 97 and up and if anybody knows anything about it. I'll leave it to them to kind of sell you on it because it's going to have more credibility coming from someone else, sure enough, than it will coming from me. And those of you who know me know I am not one to toot my own horn. In fact, I had a conversation just recently with somebody who made reference to, to us as quote unquote leaders in the accounting community. And my response was something like, I don't think of myself as a leader. I'm one among other people. I'm just trying to figure this out, just like everyone else is. And they encourage me, that, whether you want to see yourself this way or not, it is what it is. It's the truth. And I still kind of push back on it. And here's why. I have a strong philosophy about this. First of all, it lacks humility if I call myself a leader. If somebody else calls me a leader, fine, okay, if that's how they choose to view me. But as soon as I start calling myself a leader, it lacks humility, which means I've lost all perspective. For another thing, as I described in an email I sent out recently, I send out weekly emails. This is for everyone, not just 97 and up. One of the recent emails as of this recording that I sent out was titled, followers and leaders is an antisocial concept. And to me, it is antisocial, especially to call myself a leader. Social media, networking, a community like 97 and up communities, they're about making connections. And the concept of followers and leaders, it's an example of a disconnect. It's the exact opposite of connection. It's putting people on different levels. And so how is that community? How is that connection? To me, it's not. It's the exact opposite. And it reminds me of a Jewish proverb that I learned growing up that goes something like this. It says, "Don't walk in front of me, I may not follow. Don't walk behind me, I may not lead. Just walk beside me and be my friend. Together we will walk in the path of Hashem." Hashem is a word it's a Hebrew derivative. Literally translated, it means the name. It's a way of referencing God without taking the Lord's name in vain, based on sort of Jewish tradition. So just for those of you who don't know what that means, that's what that means. And to me, this is so much a better way of describing what community should be, what it should be all about. We're all in this together. We're all equal. We're on the same level. We're all just trying to figure stuff out. Some have more experience than others. That doesn't make you better than. It just means you've been doing it a little longer and you've learned a little more. And the fact that we're here, especially in a group like 97 and up, means we're here to pass along that experience. We're here to pass along freely what was given to us so that others can benefit from it, so that others can help. But the truth is, those benefits go both ways, because as my mother taught me growing up, the best way to learn something is by teaching it. And so that's what we are. We're a community of teachers. We're all sharing our experience for the purpose of being useful to others. We're teaching what we've learned, which has a way of coming back to us because it reinforces our own knowledge of what we're sharing with you. So it's very much a bilateral thing. So if you want to join the ultimate mastermind group for accountants and bookkeepers, then click any of the buttons on this page and you'll be able to get access to 97 and up and all of the resources that we offer right away. And for those of you who stuck around this far into the video and might be interested, I'll spend a few more minutes sharing you the story of exactly how and why I started 97 and up. So a number of years back, I want to say it was around 2017 or 2018, I was sitting at my desk. I had, long story short, kind of had to start things all over again after spending, a lot of years already, building and growing and building. And none of that was lost, but I was just starting all over kind of from square one on my own once again and really trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And at the time I was frankly a little burnt out, so I didn't want to rebuild a whole membership site for Nerd Enterprises courses. I'd also realized that I had too many different websites. At the time I had QuickBooksAnswers.info, which is where people could go to sign up for one-on-one to get their QuickBooks questions answered. I had, of course, nerdenterprises.com, which at the time I thought of as my main kind of branding site, just to let you know who I was. And then I had sethdavid.com, which is where I had like all kinds of courses and things. And I realized that was confusing people. So I kind of scrapped it all. And I said, what can I do to just give people one central place to go? And without having to go build a whole membership site in WordPress or anything like that. Because in those days I was doing it all myself. And it was a lot of work, frankly. It was also a lot of work to maintain the sites, especially anybody who's maintained a site in WordPress knows there's every time you go in to do one thing, there's 6 plugins that need to be updated. You update the plugin, something crashes, and now you're down a rabbit hole trying to fix that instead of what you originally came there to do. I grew to hate WordPress because of that kind of stuff. Anyway, I digress. So I had heard about the site called Patreon. And that seemed perfect. It's a site that's really designed for creators like myself to be able to offer people content, and in exchange for various levels of benefits, people would pay different amounts and so on. And so you would define these different levels. And so you might say for $5 a month is just your, like, buy me a cup of coffee once a month because you love the free content I put out there on YouTube. And I would just share those videos on Patreon as well, just to give people one easy place to go to get access to those videos. And then I think I defined a level that was based on $25 a month. And I forget what it was, but I defined certain, obviously, additional benefits, more exclusive content that you didn't get access to. At the $5 level, I had like a $50 level, and then eventually I had a level that was based on $97. And the way you would describe these levels, it would be like, okay, at $5 and up, you get these benefits. At $25 and up, you get these benefits. In other words, each successive level includes everything from the previous levels. Pretty straightforward stuff. So one of those levels, the level where I included everything, including access to exclusive courses that nobody had access to anywhere else, was $97 and up, right? So $97 and up, you had access to all these courses that I was creating. And the way I did it was I used Patreon to sort of process the payments, and then when people would sign up, I would have to sort of manually grant you access to the courses that I was putting out, on my website. Actually, what I was doing was I was putting them on Vimeo, because with Vimeo you could privately protect these videos. It was easy to do. Anyway, eventually as it grew, I realized that I needed to sort of grow up myself with respect to the whole presentation of this, and it was a bit clunky. Plus, I was getting killed in fees because Patreon charged a fee. Plus, I was paying Stripe, for processing the payments and so on. So I was getting killed in fees, plus having to wait quite a while to get my money. So eventually I said, okay, I'm just going to build a membership site in WordPress, and I rolled everything over into that. And the way 97 and up was actually born before I created that level. I remember sitting here at my desk one Saturday morning, and I was just thinking about the different resources we had in the accounting industry. And remember, this was years ago, so things were already evolving pretty well, but it's nothing like what we have today. And I was sitting there thinking about, some of the books that had been written in the accounting industry that to that day, a lot of people were still talking about and saying, this is the book you have to get if you want to learn how to, be a QuickBooks Pro advisor in the accounting industry. And already by then, some of these books were already like 20 years old. And the reality is, the foundation of accounting hasn't changed at all, but the landscape definitely has. The software has definitely changed, and that has a big impact on things. And I thought, how could I create like the quintessential resource for accountants and bookkeepers that would be easy to, make it agile, to keep up with the changes that are constantly happening in the landscape. And so immediately in my mind, that ruled out writing a book, because a book just takes too long to get it published, and then, to put out different volumes or editions or whatever you call it would just take too long, and by the time I got something out there, it would already be like, outdated, if not, or at least starting to get outdated. So I thought to myself, what can I do to be able to keep up with the changes and be agile about it so that I could be almost real time with you as far as, hey, this just came out, this is important. Most recently this year, we saw this happen with ChatGPT, right? A lot of things come and go, and I look at them and I kind of know they're going to come and go. But ChatGPT, as soon as I looked at it and saw what was happening, I was like, this is not going away. This is going to explode. And sure enough, it has. And it's still, even as of this recording, which I happen to be doing in May of 2023, it's still so new that a large majority of people in the world have no clue what ChatGPT is. You go into a local store in your community and ask somebody there if they've heard of ChatGPT, they're likely to say no. So it still has a long way to go, and yet it's exploded already. So I'm bringing that up as an example of something that I'm able to get on, learn it quickly, because that's what I do. I can jump in and dive into these things and learn them pretty quickly, and I'm still only scratching the surface. But then I can share it with you. Then I can produce the videos. Then I can have conversations with you in Slack and say, hey, everyone, you have to pay attention to this. This is important. This is not going away. In fact, this is something that if you don't jump on it now, there will come a time eventually where you will be like way behind the 8 ball in terms of, when the day comes that you realize, oh, crap, I shouldn't have ignored this, right? And so I can keep on top of these things and be agile and get the information out to you very quickly without having to go through a lot of red tape and jump through a lot of hoops to get it out there for you. I can pretty much jump onto my calendar and say, next Tuesday, we're going to talk about this. I'm going to replace whatever was scheduled because this is that important. Or I'll just, if it's not that important, I'll just find the next available Tuesday or Thursday, add it in as a call. But the other thing I can do, and I can do it immediately, is go into Slack, go into the general channel and say, hey, I'm setting up this new Chat GPT channel so we can talk about this there. It's important. Let's jump in. Let's start the conversation there. So as I'm thinking about, how I can create this resource, I said, well, let me write an email and let me invite people to join something like that. Let me find out if this is something people want. And so I sat down and I wrote, and I think that may have been the beginning of when I also started writing my weekly emails, because I wrote this email. I remember writing it to all the people that I knew who were accountants and bookkeepers, who were on my list, who I knew wouldn't mind me sending an email to. And the response was overwhelming. And by then I set up the level in Patreon, called 97 and up, and I defined that this would include, a community, a private community, and all the courses that I wanted to include with it. And a bunch of people wrote me back indicating right away that they were interested and then started signing up for it. And I said, okay, I know I've got something here. At the time, there was nothing else out there quite like it. Looking around today, I've seen a couple of other groups in the accounting industry that I felt were maybe kind of like 97 and up, but others in 97 and up have shared with me that from what they can tell, they're actually still very different. They're more like round tables, whereas 97 and up is much more of a community, where, like I said, we've got that family-like atmosphere. And so now you know how 97 and up got its name. It was originally supposed to be called Accounting Business Academy, and if you look at the logo, you'll see it still says that on there, Accounting Business Academy. But the name 97 and up just stuck. And as you can gather, it was originally $97. Over the years, I've increased the price to $197 a month, as I mentioned. And I can't promise this, right? Because I don't want somebody to hold me to it. I don't think I'll ever increase the fee from there. It seems like a very fair fee, considering all the value that I've offered in this. But as I mentioned earlier in this video, I give you opportunities to get it for $147 a month. So with that in mind, now you know the story, how 97 and up was started and how it got its name. And so if at this point you think you're ready to give it a try, and as I mentioned earlier, if that countdown timer is still there and it hasn't hit all zeros yet, then you've still got an opportunity to jump in, take advantage of the free 30-day trial. You'll get access to everything that's included with the course, all the historical call recordings, plus current call recordings, plus the live calls, plus the Slack Workspace, and the 11 courses that as of today are included, and I'll probably be adding more to that as we go. And then the other thing that I didn't mention yet, it's another one of those things I forget to mention, is whenever I launch a major course, which is usually a bulletproof kind of course, bulletproof bookkeeping, whether it's e-commerce or real estate, any of those courses, you don't get them included, but I deeply discount them for 97 and up members. So you're going to pay a fraction of what anybody else will pay for any courses like that. It's just any opportunity I can take advantage of to offer added value for our members, for our family. I definitely do that. I try to sort of bend over backwards here to make sure that I really kind of treat my 97 and up family like the VIPs that they are to me. This is my family. This is my tribe. These are the people that I like to hang out with every day, because these are the people who treat people the way I want to be treated and who treat people the way I want to treat others. So if you think this is right for you, then click any of the buttons below this video that invite you to take advantage of the offer. And even if the countdown has expired, you can still sign up. You just won't get the 30-day free trial or the discount, but you'll still get all the courses and every other benefit that I've mentioned that you have access to, as long as you are a member of 97 and up.